Hello everybody, welcome back. In this video we're going to make a GTA clone and more specifically a GTA San Andreas for mobile. So let's just get started. So if you guys don't know yet, on your Unity hub just go to new project, create a project. Since we are going to create a mobile app, you could go to 3D mobile, download that, or you could just click on 3D and we will convert it to a 3D mobile. Name your project and just click create. As you can see, I've already done that. Now the first thing you want to do is go to your build settings, and usually it will be on Windows, so just click on Android and it's going to be switch platform. I already did that, that's why there's this Unity logo right here. So just hit switch platforms, and it is better to do this before you import any assets or anything like that. That way it doesn't take as long. I do got a couple assets that I downloaded. The first one will of course be the city. I go over here, there's this little town called SimplePoly Town Pack by Gnome's artwork. This is one of the assets I downloaded. Another one is the LOWPOLY Universal Character Modular by Codewart Game Assets. And the next one would be the Joystick Pack by Fenerax Studios. Now I'll leave all the links down below. I'm also going to use Mixamo for the animations, and I will also leave that link down below in the description. So let's just get started. Now with the city, I actually used the city demo that they provided, and it should be in the folder. So it should be right here. I did move it to my scenes folder. So if I go to my scenes, it's going to be right here. I renamed it to GTA Clone, just so you guys know what I'm doing. Now your folders might not look like this in the beginning. I actually added folders. I created folders because this tutorial project scene that I have right here, I use all my tutorials for it. So this project, I use all my tutorials for this project. That way I don't have to create multiple projects. Now I got my city. Usually it's just going to be a bunch of prefabs like this. So what I did is I created an empty game object, right clicked, went create empty, and then I just named it city. Before I added anything into the game object, the empty game object, I zeroed out the X, Y, and Z. And then once I did that, I dragged everything into this city game object. It's just an empty game object with the transform. So now what we're gonna do is add the character. So if you are using the same character, you don't have to, but if you are, it's gonna be under AA Universal Character, Prefabs. And I am gonna use just a simple prefab. It's just the universal male. It's this one right here. So I'm just going to drag that in. I'm going to actually look for that little police station, because that is where we're going to create the beginning of our scene. Later on I will make a cutscene. I have done that before, but I did switch to a new computer and I wasn't able to transfer my projects because my computer was acting real slow, so I did not transfer anything. I'm just going to add this little character right here. And now with this character, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a controller. This controller, I actually already did the animation. So if I go over here, animations, I made an animator controller. So if I go to create and I go to animator controller, I just clicked on that and I named it main player. So you could do that as well. And now if I go to my universal male, I'm going to drag in the main player animation controller. Another thing I'm going to do is uncheck apply brute motion, and then after that we are going to add a rigid body. And on this rigid body we are going to freeze the rotation on the X and the Z, so it doesn't flip around on let's say on this axis right here. So this would be the X axis, that way I don't really fall over like that, and on the Z axis, which would be this blue one, so it don't tip over like that while we're moving and walking around. After that, I'm going to add a capsule collider. So capsule collider. Now I'm going to click on this little gizmo on top, either the X or the other one. And I'm going to click where it says right. So it could go kind of like that. So we can see it like that. And now I'm going to move this center on the Y up a bit. I'm going to reduce the radius so it kind of fits the body of the character. And I'm going to increase the height. And I think, yeah, I have the numbers already kind of set up. So I'm just going to type it in. Now this might be a little different for you depending on what character you are using, but I have all of it already set up. It's gonna be kind of like that. If I move over here, you can see that this is how it's gonna look. So it is covering the majority part of it. I can actually increase the radius just a bit. Now if you want to kind of increase it slowly, all you would have to do is hit Alt and drag it. That way it doesn't move real quickly, the numbers, but it actually goes kind of one by one. And then after that we are going to add a script. This script is going to be called player controller, and we are going to open it up in Visual Studios. Since the animator is located where the script is located, I'm gonna actually make this private. I don't even need to spell private. I just put animator, if I spell it right. And then I'm gonna put player animator. And then we're also gonna have a public float, but I don't want it actually to be public, so I'm just gonna put serialized field. That way it could be private, but I could still see it in the inspector. So float gonna be rotation speed, and we're gonna default it to 5, but later on we could change it in the inspector if we need to. We're also gonna have a variable, and this variable is gonna be called variable joystick, and we're just gonna put it as player joystick, and this is gonna be what we move the character around with. We're also gonna have a rigid body, and it's gonna be private, completely private, because we'll just get it in the wake function, and we'll put rigid body, and then, or we could just put RB, that way we don't get that little green line. And then we're gonna have another serialized field, and it's gonna be a float. So what we could do is we could add another line and call it flow and everything like that. But what we're gonna do is just, we're gonna put a comma, put move speed. We're gonna default it to something like 5 as well. And we're gonna put 5F just so we can know it's a float. After that, we're gonna add the gravity. So it's also gonna be a public, well, it's gonna be serialized and it's gonna be a float. So we're gonna put gravity. This is just if you want to change the gravity of the player, and then it's negative 9.81F. And then we're gonna put another comma, and it's gonna be jump force. Now the jumping, we're probably gonna start it, but we're not gonna actually finish it in this tutorial. We're just gonna get this started, and then we're gonna have serialized field. Actually, we'll put it on the bottom because this is gonna be kind of a drop down menu, and we'll see that in the inspector. And this is gonna be called a layer mask, and it's gonna be the ground layer. So this is just to check what would be the ground layer for when we are jumping. And then we're gonna add a serialized field, and this will be a transform, and it's gonna be called ground check. So this is what we're gonna use to check if we're on the ground or not. Then on the flow, we're actually gonna add another one called ground check radius, and this is also gonna be defaulted to 0.1F. Now we're gonna add a public bool or a serialized field, because we don't make it public because we don't want it to be accessed through any other script, at least not at the moment, not that I could think of that we would need to do that. So we're just gonna make it a serialized field, a bool, and we're gonna call this testing. So this is just gonna be for people that, and we're gonna equal it to true, for people that do not have a touchscreen computer. We're gonna be able to use our keyboard while we're actually in the game or in the computer, and once we download it to our phone, we'll just set this to false, and we'll be able to use the joystick and all the other stuff on our phones. And then we'll make another bool, but this one's going to be private, and it's going to be called is grounded. And then after that, we'll make one last thing, and it's going to be a vector 3, and this is going to be the velocity of the player, velocity. So with all that, we should be ready to set everything up. Now right here, we're going to get rid of the void start, and we're going to make instead of void awake. Now the awake, we're going to get all the components, all the private components. That way we don't have to set it up, or we don't have to drag it in with our inspector. So we're gonna put RB equals get component. And the component we're gonna get is the rigid body. Same with the animator. The animator we're gonna get is gonna be get component animator. And this way, it's called player animator. And this way we don't have to drag it into the inspector. It will just do it for us. And that's gonna be it for that. Now on the update, we're gonna put if is testing. So if we're actually testing the game on our phone, or just put testing. Actually, let's put is testing, because usually when you're doing a bool, you want to put something like is testing, has, stuff like that. But we'll put if is testing, and we're gonna put these curly braces, that way we could write our code inside of it. We're gonna put float horizontal equals input dot get access, and then we're gonna put horizontal. So if you do have a touchscreen computer or laptop, you don't need to do all this. This is just for people that do not have a touchscreen and they still want to be able to test their game through the computer and not have to download it every time they want to test something out. Vertical input.get access, and it's going to be called vertical. And then we're going to do a vector 3, and this is going to be called main camera forward, and it's going to equal camera.main.transform.forward. And then we're going to kind of do the same thing. So we're just going to copy this, but instead of the forward, we're going to do right. And over here, we're going to change transform.forward to transform.right. So after that, we're going to do main camera forward.y equals 0, so it doesn't move the camera. It's always going to be at 0, and same thing with main camera dot right dot y equals 0 as well. That way it always equals 0 on the y axis. And then after that we are going to do forward. We're going to do the move direction. So vector 3, down here, vector 3 is going to be move direction. It's going to equal to main camera forward dot normalized times vertical, and we're going to add it to main camera right dot normalized, multiply it by the horizontal. So this is how we're going to move the actual character. And then after that we're just going to put move direction dot normalize, and then just some parentheses or brackets. And then we're going to put if move direction is not equal to vector 3.0. If it's actually moving and it's not just at 0, we're going to put transform dot rotation equals quaternion dot look rotation, and then we're going to put move direction. And then for the transform, so that's how we're going to rotate, because if you guys do have the mobile version of San Andreas, when you move the joystick, it only has the left side joystick, and when you do move it, the character also rotates as well, depending on where you move the joystick. We're going to put translate. Transform.translate is going to be move direction multiplied by move speed multiplied by time dot delta time, and then we're going to put space dot world. And then after all that we're going to put if horizontal does not equal 0. So if there's some movement on the horizontal or if there's some movement on the vertical, we are going to put player animator dot set bool. And actually there's only going to be one line of code, so I'm just going to do it like this. Player animator dot set bool, and then the name. So how we get these names, let me go back to show you real quick. If we go to our animator and we go to main player, I do got it set up already just so this video could be a little shorter, but I will explain everything. So there's the breathing idle. The way I got this breathing idle is if we go to Mixamo, you go to upload character, you have to drag in the mesh. So in this instance, my character is actually located right here, the mesh. I would bring this into Mixamo and just drag it in, and it will upload for me. It might take a while depending on your character, your mesh. And then it says unable to map your existing skeleton. That's probably because I already have it uploaded. That's all you would have to do, and then it should show like this. If not, just restart your refresh your page and try it again. But always make sure that you're using the actual mesh and not a prefab. So now I will click breathing, or even idle. I think that's what I put. So I got idle, and I actually downloaded this one right here called breathing idle. So it's just this right here. You could also change like the sway, so it's not swaying as much, moving left and right as much. If I go back, you can see it's barely moving left and right now. Same with the breathing, all this you could change how you would like. Once you figure out what you like, you just hit download. You go to FBX for Unity, and then you go without the skin. There is some instances that you would use with the skin, but without the skin just downloads the animation itself. If you do with skin, it will download the animation plus the model, and we already have the model, so we don't really need to worry about that. So just without skin, hit download, and then it will download it for you, and then it should appear in your downloads folder. All you would have to do is grab it and drag it in anywhere you would like. I actually made an animations folder and downloaded it right here, so I got that breathing idle. And if I hit play, you can see it. And if you see that there's this default player, you could always drag in your character, your mesh right here, and you can see it on your character and mesh. And I also downloaded jump, punch, combo, and walking. Now for this, we have this breathing idle, and we have these two arrows. What I did is, let me just bring one in. So there's breathing idle. I made a transition, let's say like this, and I made another transition doing the same thing. Now the reason I did two of them is if we go over here, the walk speed, if it's greater than 0.01, we want it to play this animation. So we want it to go from breathing idle to walking. And here's the next transition. And if it goes less than 0.10, so if we're walking backwards or forward, we want this animation to play. And then so go to this walking, and this is a blend tree. So if I right click, I go to create, and then I go to create state, and I put from new blend tree, it will create this blend tree. So if I delete it it and go to this blend tree right here, you can see it has this thing right here. And if I adjust this walking speed, you can see it on hit play. You can see it walks. If I go over, it keeps walking, and it does switch between the both states, or it stays on one. You can see that little blue line, it's on the bottom one. If I go down this way, it's on this top one. And these are two of the same animations. Now right here on automate thresholds, you could uncheck this, change the values as you want, or you could automate it. I unchecked it, I put -0.1 and I put 1. So I created this little blend tree right here, and then I could switch it as well right here as I could do down here. So you can see it updating up there. If I move it up here, you can see it updating down here. And I did click 1D. If you wanted something more advanced, you could always do 2D. But for this GTA game, I seen that this is all you really need. So I just kept it as 1D and I just adjusted like that. There's also this mirror animation object. I clicked it, which honestly didn't really make much of a difference, but what it would do is it would mirror it. So it would kind of do like the opposite, but it pretty much didn't make no difference. So for this animation, I did have the walking speed and I did have is walking. So, and this is from the transition from walking to breathing idle. So right here is walking, I put it to false. So if is walking equals false, it's going to go back down. So right here is where I put is walking, and I'm going to set it to true. So if it is not equal to 0, the horizontal and the vertical, it's going to be equal to true. If it is equal to 0, that means there's pretty much no movement on the horizontal or vertical axis, and we're going to set it to false. Now after that, that's pretty much it for the, oh actually there's this part right here. We're going to put player animator, and we're going to set the float this time. So if you remember that walk speed, and make sure you type this exactly how you wrote it right here. So walk speed, this is for the condition when you go to walking from breathing idle. So walk speed, if it's, we're going to put horizontal, and we're going to do the same thing with the vertical. So it's going to get our horizontal values and our vertical values, and it's going to pass it to this animator. Now this is pretty much done for anybody that wants to test with their computer that does not have a touchscreen. But if you guys do just have a touchscreen, all you would have to do is, you don't even have to put the else, just write all this line of code without the if else statement. But this line of code, it's pretty much going to be basically the same thing. So we're going to copy everything. So we're going to put right here variable, or actually we're going to put player joystick dot horizontal, and then we're going to do the same thing with vertical. So any errors, so that's actually good. Do we get errors up here? Nope. Okay, so now we're going to do main camera forward is going to be, everything's pretty much going to be the same. The only difference is going to be, actually I think that's going to be it. And then down here we're gonna put, I think that's it. I think that should work. Now for the jump, we're gonna do it in a separate video because I see that we are, I think, at the 20-minute mark already, so we're just gonna leave it like that. So for now, we're just gonna do the walking. So we got breathing idle, and like I said, we got the walking. We got these two conditions. One's gonna be if it's greater than 0.01, the other one's gonna be less than -0.01. We're gonna have this is walking boolean, so you just click here. Float is the walk speed, bool is walking, and then that should be it for that. Now on our camera, we do gotta write a script real quick. So on our main camera, we're gonna add a script, which I already pretty much have. Should have deleted it, but maybe that will help. So there is this target, and actually let me show you real quick. Should have deleted it, that way we could do it all together. But here, execute in edit mode, that's gonna actually run this script while we haven't even put the play button. So whatever we do in the editor script, in the editor without pushing the play button, it will run this code. So this is good for certain things, just like this, like the camera follow. That way we can see where the camera is actually positioned at. We're gonna have a public transform, which we could actually change to serialized field, and it's gonna be transform, and this is gonna be the target. So it's gonna be a reference to the player's transform. There's this also serialized field vector 3, and this is gonna be the offset. So the offset of the camera, so we could adjust it as we need the camera, so depending on how we want the camera to look. Another serialized field, and this is going to be smooth speed, and this is just going to control the smoothness of the camera. So we're going to do it in the late update function, and it's kind of like the update, but this happens after the update. So we're going to put if target does not equal null. So if there is a target, if there is a character, whatever, we're going to get the desired position. So a vector 3 desired position, which is going to equal the target position. so the character's position plus the offset that we put for the camera to be offsetted by. There's smooth position, so we're gonna do vector3.lerp. Lerp, it goes from one position to another, and then it kind of smooths out between those two positions depending on the parameter you put. So we're gonna go from the transform.position, so from the actual camera's position to our desired position, which as you remember, it's the target position plus the offset. And then we're gonna use the smooth speed to smooth out the movement of the camera. After that, we're gonna get the camera's transform, and we're gonna set its position to the smooth position. After that, we're gonna put transform.lookAtTarget, so it will always look at the character or our target. And we don't need this, so we'll just delete that. And now we'll go back. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I should have deleted all that, but I mean, it might have been the best thing. That way we could save on time. So we're gonna go to our character. We're gonna actually add a game object, and this is gonna be called camera follow object. And I found this is the best way to do this. That way, if we need to adjust anything, we don't have to move, let's say, the player's body or anything like that. We just move the camera follow object. So we'll drag this in, and as you can see, it kind of snapped down. So now we could go on the camera follow object and adjust this instead of having to adjust, like I said, the actual body of the player or whatever like that. So now you could change the offset to whatever you like. So as you can see, you could change it. It's up to you how you would like it. You could adjust it like that, any way you would like it. These are the values I found that were good for me. The smooth speed, you could also adjust this to what you would like, and as you can see, it kind of moves a little quick. But yeah, just adjust it to however you like. I found these values worked for me, but maybe you guys would like other values. And now if we hit, oh no, we actually have to add the joystick now. So if we go to camera, right click, go to UI, and then go to canvas. This is gonna be the canvas we use. Now UI scalar mode, we're gonna put scale with screen size, and we're going to get the screen size of whatever device we're using. So if you have, let's say well, not an iPhone because it's gonna be for Android, but any Android, you would check your size, your resolution size. Then you hit the plus button, you could label it to whatever you like, and you could either click fixed resolution or aspect ratio. So here's an example, 10 by 10 aspect. I usually go to fixed resolution. I look up my phone's resolution, and then I'll type it in here. So I have a G Power 2022, and this is landscape and this is portrait. So I am going to use the landscape. Let's see the portrait. This would be portrait, but like I said, I use the landscape, and it's 1600 by 720. So that's what we're going to put right here, 1600 by 720, and then we're going to put match width or height, and we're going to put this to 0.5. Now I have showed you guys in a separate video how you could use the game and the simulator mode. So this would be the simulator, and you could change it to anything you like. So if you want to check it on different phones, you could also rotate this, and you could check it out on different phones. I don't think you could add any, but you can check like the various phones that they have, just so you could see how it would look on different phones. But now let's go to the canvas. We are going to add from our assets that we downloaded from Unity. It's going to be under prefabs, and it's going to be a variable joystick. They do have different joysticks. You could check those out, but I actually like the variable joystick. I thought it works pretty good, and we don't have to adjust anything or change anything here. All we got to do is go to our universal manual and drag in the variable joystick. Now for the ground check and ground layer, we're not really going to put anything. The ground check, I'm going to put his feet, just so hopefully it don't give us an error. So feet M. So if we go to our universal, we're going to go to feet M and drag that in. And I am going to put nothing for now. This is going to be in a separate video, but I just wanted to get this all in. That way we could have it all set up for the next video. It's testing. Like I said, if you guys have a touchscreen computer, you could have this unchecked, but I don't have a touchscreen computer anymore. I'm going to have this as is testing. That way I could use my keyboard. Now if I hit play, if I move around, you can see he moves around just as you would expect. And how I seen that it plays out in the GTA San Andreas mobile, it pretty much works the same way. So if you like, and then if I go to is testing, so if I click is testing off, and now I could actually use the joystick. And this is how I've seen that it works on the mobile game. So if I go straight, it goes straight. If I go back, it actually flips around like that. Left, right, right, left. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I know I was going a little bit too fast, but if you guys have any questions, if there's something that is acting buggy for you or whatever, just let me know in the comments below. Like I said, the next episode I am going to try to include jumping and hopefully punching. But if there's something else you guys would like to see before that, or you know, or after that, just let me know in the comments and I will try my best to make a video about that. Also, the cutscene, I did make a cutscene previously. I'll probably leave a link up above, but we are going to make a cutscene, but later on, once we got all the movements and stuff like that kind of going and working, we will make a cutscene as the opening cutscene. But for now, we're just going to concentrate on the player controllers. So hopefully this video helped, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, I would appreciate it if you guys would hit that like button. It would help me a lot, help me keep motivated to keep making these videos. Also hit that subscribe button. It would also motivate me and help me work on these videos a little quicker. I know sometimes I take a while making these videos, but life does get ahead of me sometimes. I mean, I do have a full-time job, you know, but hopefully one day with this YouTube, I will be able to make somewhat money that I might even go part-time at my work and I could focus more on these videos. So also hit that bell icon if you want to get notified as soon as I post these GTA videos or any other videos. And once again, thank you guys. And before I do head out, if you guys do want to test this on your Android phone, make sure its testing is checked off. Go to File, go to Build Settings. By now you should have switched it to Android. If not, make sure you switch it before you build it. Click on Add Open Scenes if this scene is, if you are currently seeing this scene. If not, you could always go to your scenes and drag in whatever scene you have it on. So there's a different scene, and once you have all the scene, well, your scene on there, just hit build. It's gonna pop this up. It's usually gonna be on your tutorial project. I like creating a new folder and calling it builds. That way I have all my builds in one single file folder, and then I'll click on builds, and for now I put it as test.abk. You don't have to put .abk, just put the file name and save as type as abk, and then you can name it anything you want. You could put GTA clone, whatever you want, testing version 1, whatever you like. Click save, and then you could, if you already have one, just replace it, and then it will start your build. Right now I'm gonna get an error because I don't have it actually connected to my USB, my phone to my USB, but you would have to save it before. So right now it is detecting the Android SDK. It's trying to detect my phone, but like I said, I do not have it connected. All you would have to do is get your USB connected to your phone, and it will start downloading the game. Now there is another way that, there is another thing you have to do on your Android phone. If you guys don't know how to do it already, you would have to go to your settings on your phone, and then on your settings, go to system, and then there should be a developers options. Click developer options, and then go down till you see USB debugging. Click on that. If you don't see the developer options, you would go to your settings, go to about phone, and when you go to about phone, you would go all the way down on about phone, and where it says build number, click it about 7 times, and it should unlock the developer option, and that would be the only way you would be able to see it. But if you guys need help with that, if you guys want to see a video on that, just let me know in the comments down below and I will help you guys figure that out. But other than that, you will be able to build and run your project and test out what we have so far. So once again, thank you guys.